Welcome to a celebration of the life of the supersonic transport Concorde. British Airways operated the last commercial Concorde flight on October 24, 2003, from New York to London. In part one of this program, we'll spend a few minutes going over key facts about the Concorde aircraft. In part two, we'll go on the Concorde tour of Britain to 5 major cities in the UK. In part three, we'll welcome Concorde to one of its final destinations, the Museum of Flight. At takeoff, the speed of Concorde is 250 miles per hour. At supersonic cruise, Concorde flies at Mach 2, that is twice the speed of sound, or 1,350 miles per hour. Stated another way, Mach 2, or twice the speed of sound, is 23 miles per minute. It is also 1 mile every 2.5 seconds. Concorde flies at an altitude up to 60,000 feet. Let's hear Captain Mike Bannister discuss Concorde performance in a different way, that is related to the speed of a bullet or to the rotation of the Earth.
We discovered it's possible to fly people on the edge of space where the sky gets darker, where you can see the curvature of the Earth, where you can travel literally faster than a bullet, faster than the Earth rotates.
Concorde has 4 Olympus engines mounted under the wings. Each engine generates 38,000 pounds of thrust with the reheat or afterburners lit. Let's hear Captain Les Brody describe how Concorde lengthens in supersonic flight due to kinetic heat transfer.
127 degrees centigrade on the nose, and that's why the aeroplane expands. It's 204 foot long, this beautiful aeroplane, but in the air, when we were going in supersonic flight, because of the compression and the friction, we compress the air ahead of us, and then the air goes by at 1,300 miles an hour plus. The friction creates heat as well. The two things called kinetic heat heat the airplane up to 127 degrees, even though it's minus 56 degrees outside. So it's quite a big temperature rise, and because of that, the aeroplane expands about 10 inches to a foot.
This view of the Concorde flight deck clearly shows the aircraft was designed and built in the era of analog gauges. Yet Concorde was also the first airliner with fly-by-wire protection of certain flight envelope parameters. This was accomplished with computer linkages to mechanical controls. Concorde operates with a minimum of 2 pilots and a flight engineer. The center console includes the engine power levers and communications controls. The flight engineer flies sideways facing this console. Concorde has a passenger capacity of 100 persons with 2 cabins. Each cabin has 50 seats. This view shows the latest lightweight blue leather seats installed as part of the refurbishment process in 2001. Next, we'll join the Concorde tour of Britain as the aircraft visits 5 major cities in the UK as shown here. While the first Concorde development flights were in 1969, British Airways operated Concorde commercially from 1976 to 2003, a 27-year time span. British Airways' objective in the Concorde retirement events was to do so with style, grace, and elegance. We believe this objective was met, as you will observe. We've just coasted into the UK over Wales about 7 a.m. the day before the tour of Britain begins. We're heading for London Heathrow Airport. Crossed over a portion of Ireland at the end of the transatlantic journey. We'll continue on to Heathrow along with the early morning wave of arrivals, going to London and other cities. We're being vectored for the approach to 12,800-foot Heathrow runway 09 left. Our final approach to Heathrow 09 left takes us almost directly over Windsor Castle, west of the runway threshold. We leave Heathrow and head for Birmingham, which is the second largest city in the UK. Concorde will operate on the 7,400-foot main air carrier runway at Birmingham, 1533. The aircraft will land and take off from the 33 end of the runway. Let's join the spectators to watch Concorde do a fly past and then circle a city. Several scheduled flights will land, followed by the Concorde approach and landing. Let's speak with Concorde spectator at Birmingham, Kevin Farnell of Cambridge, England.
Quite a sad day, really. Probably the last time I'll ever see Concorde fly. What must be one of the most majestic airliners ever built. The raw sound, the raw power, absolutely fantastic.
Did you get inside one?
I've just been on the one that's on display at Duxford Air Museum.
Oh, I see. There is one there?
There's one there, yes, and it's still decked out inside with all the test equipment as the prototypes were.
Well, so, it's one of the initial ones that never actually was on a...
It was never in airline service.
Right.
But it's got quite a lot of the test equipment, so as you walk through there's a lot of stepping over different bits of equipment and cables, but it's well worth it. And you can also see into the flight deck and take photos of the flight deck as well if you wish. So.
Next, we'll visit the unique aviation experience at Birmingham Airport and talk with manager John Herod.
Yes, my name's John Harris. I'm from the Ian Allen Bookshop, which is the aviation experience at Birmingham Airport.
What's your reaction to the Concorde being retired?
Well, first off, I'm very sad. I think with all the money that's been spent on it, such a remarkable aircraft that it is, it seems shame that it's now to be put on the scrap heap. I feel that with several more years ahead of it, more should have been made of putting the aircraft into the history books. I think that we should still be able to fly it. It's part of our heritage. Probably the most beautiful aircraft, certainly passenger aircraft that's flown. Everywhere it goes, it gathers crowds, as has been witnessed today.
Well, thank you. As the sun sets on the first day of the Concorde tour of Britain, we leave to fly to Belfast, Northern Ireland for day number 2. Belfast International Airport is the site of the next Concorde visit. Belfast is the capital and largest city in Northern Ireland. Concorde will use the main 9,100-foot runway 0725, landing in one direction and then taking off several hours later in the other direction after a change in the wind.
Sign report established on the localizer, runway 29. To the left, heading 285 and wheel sport established on the localizer 25, Matuda 1615. Matuda 1615, descend to altitude 2,400 when established on the localizer, descend on the ILS. Down to altitude 2,400, unit 1013, and then when established, descend with the ILS, Matuda 1615. 9020, turn left heading 020. 020, left 020. Matuda 1615, maintain 170 knots for greater until 5 DME. 170 already. Option 3, contact car, 1 minute decimal 3. 9020, 8.5 miles from contact, showing becoming number 1, contact car, 1 minute decimal 3, bye-bye. 9020,
Andrew, you probably don't put yourself in the category of the rich and famous, but I understand you did ride on the Concorde. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, I got an absolutely incredible deal. Searching for an economy flight to New York for September 2002. Come across an incredible deal, flying out Club World, back on Concorde for £1,700 plus tax. Thought about it for a minute.
That's equivalent to about US $3,000 roughly? Or?
Probably less than that, $3,000 at the most. Thought about it for a minute, but as soon as I started thinking about it, I thought I had to go for that. Put it on my credit card. Anyway, got to the actual Concorde experience day. It was my 23rd birthday on the 10th of September 2002. The aircraft was Alpha Foxtrot, the last one ever built. We boarded about 8:30, I believe it was, in the morning. They served us champagne before we took off. Takeoff was pretty incredible. The power acceleration was like the most acceleration you've ever felt before, except for maybe on a roller coaster or something. Pretty impressive. Very steep climb. Then when the reheats are cut, it's pretty incredible sort of feeling.
The afterburners kicked in, you mean?
The afterburners are cut off actually, because they're kicking on the runway. Once it's in the air, the afterburners are cut off for noise restrictions around JFK, and it feels like basically the plane's stuck in gear. It's a bizarre feeling the way they suddenly cut off. You then start banking round steeply to the left, again to avoid residential areas. And it's quite an impressive banking program it is. It takes you out over to the Atlantic. From then on you start climbing rapidly. On our flight we got up to eventually about 58,000 feet. From there you could clearly make out the curvature of the Earth. Fortunately it was a nice day below with not too many clouds, allowing the curvature of the Earth to be very visible. Fantastic meal service as we were travelling, along with more and more champagne. I think it was a 5-course meal. By the time the 5-course meal ended, amazingly, we started descending. It was sort of 2.5 hours after takeoff, and we started descending. The descending was pretty impressive too. You could feel as if something was constantly braking you, because obviously the speed was being burnt off very, very fast. And soon after we'd gone under the sound barrier, so to speak, we come over the English coast and come in over London for a brilliant view over London. Landing was also almost as impressive as takeoff. Coming in at the unusual angle Concorde does, its nose is pitched up virtually on the entire landing approach. It's a very unusual sort of landing experience. On landing, the reverse thrust is unbelievably powerful, unbelievably deceleration. As we were taxiing back into the terminal, the pilot told us that our flying time was 3 hours 24 minutes. And that time we'd covered 3,700 miles. Anyway, then we got to popped up at Terminal 4, and those of us that asked were allowed to have a view in the cockpit and have a quick chat with the crew, who signed my flight certificate, saying that we'd now joined the Supersonic Club. Also signed a copy of my book, The Concorde Story, which was very good of them. Disembarked then from the plane, unfortunately. All too quickly it was over, but an unbelievable experience, especially on your birthday.
Who's that?
Well, I've always been interested in aircraft from a very young age, and this last 16 years I've been flying a lot of model aircraft, and I like building scale models and flying them. When I heard that Concorde was being decommissioned, I said to myself, you know, what's the point in going and seeing it in a museum someday? So I just took a day off work here and come down and see it for myself. Saw it coming over from the lock on a sort of circuit and coming in, and then we lost view of it from the building, and then we saw it land and taxi. So I'm looking forward now to see it taken off for the last time. To me, it's a step back really for the kids here, watching history taking a step back really, you know, or not history but, you know, science. And but someday they'll be supersonic again. They've got to. The world will demand it, you know.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Concorde will now take off in the opposite direction to its earlier landing. Next, Concorde will visit Manchester, which is the major city in northwest England. Concorde will land and take off on 10,000-foot runway 06 left. Manchester Airport has a widely acclaimed aviation viewing park. The aviation viewing park is adjacent to the identified point along runway 06 left. Now, Andrew, you were saying you did fly in the Concorde at one time?
Yes, in June 1982.
1982?
Yes, I was only 9 at the time, but 10 at the time, sorry. Flew from here to Heathrow Airport.
From Manchester to Heathrow?
Yes. Subsonic, unfortunately, but I have flown on Concorde.
And how long did it take?
About 15-20 minutes, if that.
In the air?
Yes. They flew me back on a conventional shuttle, a 757, back from Heathrow, back
Did
here.
you enjoy it?
Yes, it was an experience I'll never be able to repeat again.
Right. An impressive new feature of the Manchester Airport is an integrated ground transportation facility to a central point within the terminal complex for buses and trains.
down. Yes, down the stairs.
Day number 4 of the Tour of Britain will be at Cardiff International Airport. Cardiff is the largest city in Wales. Concorde will land on the main 7,700-foot runway over the threshold of the 1-2 end of the runway. The Cardiff Airport is the location of a major British Airways maintenance base. Are you from Cardiff?
No, from Roos.
Roos, okay,
Yeah.
just close by the airport.
Yeah.
What's your feeling of the Concorde retiring?
It's an end of an era, really. Nobody ever thought the Concorde would ever not fly again. But I think after that crash in Paris, I think that was its end, really. I think the end was in sight then. Been flying too long, I think. But it is a shame. It's a shame we haven't got anything to replace it.
You came out to see it one more time today.
I did. I saw it the first time at Roos when they opened the new runway for the jumbo jets, and now I've come to see it today because it's the last opportunity before it has its final flight from Heathrow tomorrow, I think.
Right. Well, thank you.
It's okay.
Enjoy seeing it land here today?
Oh, fantastic. It's a lovely experience every time you see it. I mean, I used to see it most weeks flying over the house on a Sunday morning, you know, always stop and look up to see it. It's a great feat of engineering and be greatly missed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're right close to the water here in Cardiff. Is this about the point where when they go westbound to New York, they start to go supersonic?
That's right. It's just as they get to the coast, which is like literally over your shoulder. So, which is probably why it's blowing a gale at the moment. But yes, yeah, fantastic.
Now, do you hear the sonic boom when they do
No,
that?
I've not heard it. No.
They're further out over the water.
Yeah,
when
just
they do
further
that.
out when they actually kick it in. Yeah.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
How do you feel about the Concorde being retired?
Well, it's a great pity. It's a great shame. It's a sad day, actually, for this country and engineering. This is a great feat of engineering, Concorde, and I think it's a shame to see it go.
So you saw it land a bit ago, and you're hoping to see it take off here in a
I'm
bit?
hoping to see it take off. I saw it land, which was magnificent, but I think watching it take off will be even better.
For the last time.
Yes, for the last time. I hope to see it again. I hope and pray we'll see it again, but we'll take it that it is now. It'll be the last time, so this is why I'm here.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
How do you feel about Concorde being retired?
I think it's a sad day for aviation. I just can't believe it, especially after all the money they spent on all the safety features. I mean, I think it's the safest plane around, without a shadow of a doubt. Way before its time. What is it, 25 years old, Dave? Something like that? It's the most incredible aircraft I've ever seen. It's got another 10 years of life. It's crazy. I mean, I had a pleasure. I was sat in a garden in Hounslow, right over the flight path, and it flew right over my head. I could actually see the pilots and everything in it. It was fantastic.
You're that close to it?
That close to it. It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
With a change in wind direction, Concorde will depart down runway 30. The final day of the Concorde Tour of Britain is at Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. Concorde will land and take off in the same direction on the main 8,400-foot air carrier runway. How do you feel about the Concorde retiring?
Well, I live with Concorde almost. I've known Concorde since 1969 when development carried on at a place called Fairford, RAF Station Fairford, and I was based there when the two development Concordes came in from Filton where it was built, and they were based there and development took place. It was taking off and landing all the time. It wasn't passenger carrying apart from essential engineers then. And I went on it 3 times, took guests around it. We were allowed to do that. And I took people around who visited me, and they're really amazed by it.
Are you kind of sad that it's retiring?
Well, I am, because I never got the chance to fly in it, because I'm ex-Air Force myself, and I do a lot of work here for the Museum of Flight, part of the National Museum of Scotland. And as a volunteer, that is, I'm not employed by them. And we hope to get a Concorde here at our National Museum, but there's some debate just yet as to whether that's going to happen. And I guess the decision is going to be made today, tomorrow, in a few days anyway, as to whether we get one. So we're desperate to get one here if we're given the chance. Whether we can cope with it and the requirements of that, I don't know. We may need a special hangar, we may need special access points for the visitors. We're not too sure, but we certainly hope. So yes, we're sad Concorde's retiring, but if we get one here, we'll be doubly pleased, and I think all visitors will be too, because it's a great tourist attraction for Edinburgh, I think.
Well, I hope you do get one here at the museum.
Okay,
and thank you very much.
Thanks for your support.
best off the first.
How do you feel about the Concorde retiring?
I feel very, very sad about Concorde retiring. I think it's a tragedy, really, and I just think it's awful that we're not going to see it again in the skies. I think it's a real shame.
What did you think about just seeing it land now? Is that?
Fantastic! I'm so glad I came. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Couldn't have been better, actually. Really pleased I came.
Well, thank you. After the final Concorde commercial flights ended on October 24th, British Airways announced the disposition locations for their Concorde fleet. We will capture the festivities when Concorde Golf arrives at Seattle's Boeing Field on November 5th for delivery to the Museum of Flight. Expecting 15 into airport traffic.
Governor, Ralph, ladies and gentlemen, the motto of the Museum of Flight is Dream, Discover, Soar. Over 33 years ago, there were people who had dreams and visions that were born and made Concorde. It was built with pride and operated with dedication. The Concorde family that makes up the people that have flown in her and on her are very proud of this aircraft and very proud to extend that family to everyone here today in Seattle, especially those at the Museum of Flight, as they become part of a legend. Part of a legend that will live forever, with an aircraft available to be seen by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. That's the dream part. The discover part was that we discovered it's possible to fly people on the edge of space where the sky gets darker, where you can see the curvature of the Earth, where you can travel literally faster than a bullet, faster than the Earth rotates. You can travel so fast that everybody else up there is in spacesuits and you're in land suits. And to prove that point, we have today set a world record for flight between New York and Seattle of just 3 hours, 55 minutes and 12 seconds. That thanks to our friends and colleagues in Transport Canada and Nav Canada, who opened up a supersonic corridor for us across the northern parts of Canada. And the soar part, finally, of the Museum of Flight's motto is that we will soar into the history books as I proudly hand over to you, Ralph, the technical log, and I hand over to you stewardship of Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Golf.
It's our pleasure. We will keep our stewardship of this plane in the highest possible way. Thank you.
Welcome to the state of Washington. This is a proud day for the Museum of Flight. We're so proud to have the Concorde as part of this. We want to thank British Airways as well for donating this Concorde, this magnificent airplane. Captain Bannister, and to your entire crew, congratulations and welcome to the state of Washington.
Thank you. Let's go down now, and we'll take care of Alpha Golf here.
I think we all have mixed emotions. It's a sad moment in some senses, but we're very proud of this aircraft, and right from the moment the decision was taken that the time had come to retire her, we've been determined in British Airways to make it a celebration and make Concorde's final few flights something that everyone will remember, and I hope that history will judge we've done that well.
Did anything special happen on this flight in terms of the service?
The special things on this flight were the making available the supersonic corridor and putting the flight engineer's hat in that gap, and it'll be there for a very long time.
Where is the gap?
At the back of the flight engineer's panel. The airplane stretches 8 to 10 inches in flight, and that takes place throughout the entire aircraft length. But the only visible, accessible part where you can see that stretch is to the right of the engineer's panel. A gap opens up. It's paper thin on the ground, and in the air you can put your hand easily in the gap. As you know, the last commercial flight of Concorde was on October the 24th when we flew from New York to London. So what we've done is taken an opportunity to say thank you to the many, many staff in British Airways without whom the Concorde operation over 27 years couldn't have taken place. Airways staff.
How many were there? How many?
100. We have 100 seats and 100 people.
What was your top speed at miles per hour?
1,350 miles an hour.
When did you tell us about that flight today and going across Canada? I'm sorry, we weren't in.
Sure. We were very fortunate that Transport Canada and Nav Canada made available the supersonic corridor over Canada that we can fly occasionally.
It meant that we could make an attempt on the record flight and were successful. It was very good of them and of all our people in London that have worked very, very hard to get that into place. It enabled us to fly it up to 60,000 feet, 1,350 miles an hour, 23 miles every minute. It was a little cloudy, so we didn't see much of the surface, but when we did get up really as far north as 60 north, we could see many of the frozen lakes and rivers.
An element of sadness today?
Some sadness, but in general a great deal of pride and privilege that we've been able to operate this aircraft in British Airways for 27 years so successfully. She's been flying for more than a third of the century since the Wright brothers first flew. We're very proud of her. She's been the flagship of the British Airways fleet for a long time, and we're delighted that she's got such a wonderful home for the future.
At what point did you turn back to come down into the United States?
We came into the United States, we came down up over Victoria and Vancouver and came straight in due south over the border.
Do you feel any irony delivering it to the Boeing town which decided not
at all. We thought very hard and long about where we were going to donate our aircraft to. We had so many applications, around 75. We worked those down to a short list and finally selected the recipients. Of the 10 airplanes that were built in the UK, 7 will remain there. The other 3 will come overseas. 1 will go to New York, which is the key scheduled destination and the airport that's seen most Concorde operations. The second one going to Barbados, which is British Airways' second most important Concorde scheduled destination that we've served for 21 years. And the third coming to the west coast of the USA, to perhaps the world's premier aviation museum. We think that's the right balance, and we're very, very pleased and proud that the Museum of Flight were keen to take stewardship of our flagship.
Usually don't get a reception like this when you pull into the terminal.
I never get a reception like this, but the Concorde always does. Whenever we take her somewhere new, we see tens of thousands of people to come and wave to her, and the receptions that we've had on the tour of the US and the UK have been great, but I think in terms of welcome, this has been the best.
May I get the spelling of your last name, please?
B-A-N-N-I-S-T-E-R. Captain Mike Bannister, I'm the Chief Concorde pilot at British Airways. Well, this man's my minder, so I better go.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank
Great
you.
privilege.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's good. Thanks, folks. Thanks, everybody. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Thanks. Last year, in June, I went over to Buckingham Palace with Mike Bannister and another pilot, 3 pilots, and the 2 engineers are on today. And just the 5 of us on board, again, the red arrows alongside us, and we went down the mile at 1,500 feet and saw millions of people looking up. I looked down at Westminster Bridge from my seat, and the whole of the bridge was covered in people. And I couldn't see any of the concrete, any of the bridge works. I just saw people across the Thames.
And this was the goodbye?
That was, no, this was to celebrate the Queen's Golden Jubilee. Yeah. And so the Queen was waving down there as well. We saw her as well.
Did you do any charters around the world?
Oh yes, I did. I went one charter. I went to Bangkok, Delhi, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then back to London and through to New York. And then the rest of the charter was via Honolulu and Guam. That particular charter, but we split it up in 2 crews. So I was on the second half, and that was amazing. I was only talking about that today because I saw the Himalayas as we flew over.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's 35,000 feet looking down the Himalayas. And today we saw the Canadian Rockies, and they both look beautiful. It's just a beautiful sight to see those kind of mountains.
Well, how far north did you go today?
We went up to about, where did we go, 55 north. We went up to north of St. Lawrence, of course, to get over the sparsely populated area where Transport Canada allowed us to go across the sea. And we were up at twice the speed of sound, got up to 60,000 feet the maximum altitude of this aeroplane, and we saw 1,380 miles an hour and 127 degrees centigrade on the nose. And that's why the aeroplane expands. It's 204 foot long, this beautiful aeroplane. But in the air, when we were going into supersonic flight, because of the compression and the friction, we compress the air ahead of us, and then the air goes by at 1,300 miles an hour plus. The friction creates heat as well. The 2 things called kinetic heat heat the aeroplane up to 127 degrees, even though it's minus 56 degrees outside. So it's quite a big temperature rise, and because of that, the aeroplane expands about 10 inches to a foot. And on the flight deck, we get gaps where there's expansion. And today we put the flight engineer Trevor Norcott's hat in one of the guts. And when he's not going to get his hat back, he's signed it. We've all signed his hat, and it's stuck in there. The only way to get that hat out is to go supersonic again.
What was the atmosphere in the cabin today compared to the last commercial flight in terms of this was staff on board, I understand?
Well, it's staff on board, people that have worked on the aircraft. So there's a mixed feeling of pride and sadness. Pride, obviously, because we're proud that we've operated for 27 years successfully. Sadness, because we're coming to a halt. And it's because of economics.
The flight deck crews probably have those same feelings.
Oh, we did. We were both sitting there thinking, I can't believe this is coming to an end.
Was it a little more informal?
It seems so normal. No, we have our normal professional approach to it. We didn't cry.
So what are you going to do now?
Well, I'm coming up to retirement, so I've got a lot of archiving work to do. I'm going to work with the museums, working with the simulator, trying to get the simulator that's built into a new home. And that'll take me a few months, then I'll retire. So I'm 55 years old. Then I'll go to my other love, which is flying a Tiger Moth. Which I've got a de Havilland Tiger Moth to share in one of those, so I fly that. I've also got to share a Cessna 150. So I'll still be flying, but not quite as fast as that.
Right, not quite, no. There?
Yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah, that's the
right?
expansion joint.
So you got to take a trip tonight if you want to get the hat back,
Exactly, yeah. I don't think you'll ever get it out. They'll have to cut it out. That's the only way. Yeah, it seemed like a good idea on the way out. The usual trick is we use newspapers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a good place for storing newspapers at Mark II. And then you forget about it and it's an embarrassing situation. You go supersonic again. But this time, I think it's a cute move. It really is.
You probably lost your hat.
Yeah. It'll help the curators.
Right.